This is Catching Exceptions, and today I'm going to introduce you to one of the first members of the Sitecore community, Mark Cassidy. Thank you for sitting with me.
You're welcome.
Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
From Denmark. Grew up in a small town, well, medium-sized town, I guess, called Odense, which is probably only known for the birth of an author in the 19th century, called Hans Christian Andersen. So he wrote fairy tales like The Little Mermaid and whatever. So from that, you know it. And then I moved to Copenhagen, because that's in Denmark. That's sort of like the hub for my line of work.
Get down to the big city?
Something like that.
What was it that actually got you started programming?
Yeah, but then we need to rewind back to Christmas 1983, when I got a Commodore 64 as a Christmas present. And I was 12 years at the time, and I was overjoyed. And at first I, like so many other people, I played games on it and I just saw it as a games console. But quickly I sort of got into simple programming on it. So back then you would have these magazines that would have code listings in them, and you could type them in and then run little games or whatever it was. Like for training you would do Pascal, which is like a forerunner for, I guess, Delphi or other variants, but basically Pascal on the PC platform. Or you would do C++, no, not even C++ actually, you would do regular C on Unix platforms or Linux platforms or whatever it was. Or you would do COBOL on mainframes. Waiting 20 minutes for a COBOL compiler to return your result and your compile output. So you sort of learned how to develop without making too many bugs, because there was a 20-minute turnaround for a compile. So it's like unreal today, right? But that's how it was. Coming out at the end of that, that was early 1992. The only jobs available at the time were mostly around COBOL and fixing the Y2K problem. So I spent a few years just trying to dabble around a bit and figure out what I was going to do next. And then 94 or so, the internet sort of became a thing. And I was like, this is it, this is me. So I'm going to get on that and, see where it takes me. We ventured with that for, I guess up until 99 or so. And then eventually I'm going to have to get a real job, because I'm not making any money, I'm not making any progress, it's not going anywhere. This internet thing is annoying.
It's funny, because at that time, you've probably been doing it for years, and you're like, where is this going?
It wasn't that clear back then. I mean, looking back at it now, it's ridiculous, right? Because it exploded.
Right.
I was a little bit annoyed with it at the time. Not realizing, I didn't have the experience to realize that, of course, it's not enough to just build a website. You need a full business idea.
Yeah.
And I was young and naive and didn't really,
And patience. You have to have patience.
Yeah, that too, which was never really my strongest suit to begin with, to be honest.
You ended up getting into Sitecore.
Yeah.
And you're from Denmark.
Yeah.
They started in Denmark.
Yep.
How close were you to them at that time?
So regular web development, .NET had just released. So back when .NET 1.0 and 1.1 was a thing, working for an agency. All of a sudden, a client of ours said, you know what, we don't want your, well, they didn't actually say stupid, but they didn't want our CMS. They want this Sitecore thing. So we hired in a guy from Codehouse, Per Bering, who's actually still active in the community. He came along and he said, yeah, sure, I'll help you build a Sitecore site. So him and I sat down, built a Sitecore site. I was doing so they had this single sign-on kind of code that needed to be wired into Sitecore. I did that part, he built the site. A couple of weeks later, I guess 2-3 weeks, we had a finished site and a happy customer. I actually enjoyed, first of all, working with this guy, but I also enjoyed working with the product. It was more fun than our own sort of thing. So I gave him a call and said that this was a Codehouse, right? So I gave him a call and said, can I get involved here? Do you need some people? And there we go. Sitecore 5.0 had just released. And Sitecore, obviously, as you say, based in Denmark, based in Copenhagen, based less than, I guess, 200-300 meters from where our offices were in Codehouse at the time. And it was such a tight little community that we would hang out. You could come and go at the Sitecore offices, discuss like the latest release, and this data provider thing isn't working. We were discussing how proxying worked, how to get external data into Sitecore, which then later became, I guess, shadows, and ultimately, I guess, item clones is the development of that. Back then, Michael Seifert, Lars Fleur Nielsen, Ole Trane, and so on and so forth. We would just basically hang out and discuss the product, maybe over a beer or two. That's sort of the background and the connection I had with Sitecore back in the early days.
You're here today. We're here at Symposium.
Yep.
Having a great time. You were giving a presentation.
Yeah, tomorrow.
What's that presentation on?
So the title is 10x your Sitecore development, which is a little bit of a provocative title, right? The whole point is Sitecore was, if you look back at the history, it was meant to be a sort of rapid way of getting a website online. Now, I think that is no longer on anybody's radar to be able to do that, but the rapid aspect of it is still, I think, part of the core DNA of Sitecore. So my session is trying to recapture that and get us thinking more about how or where we apply the engineering aspects of our development cycle. I hear a lot of frustration that why does a breadcrumb take 4 days to develop? And if you don't waste your energy on these simple content components, then you'll have more time to build up the marketing stuff, the personalization, work on these interesting aspects of Sitecore development, which is good for the client, good for yourself because it's more interesting, and good for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I've been on Stack Overflow. I'm sure everyone has been on Stack Overflow at some point and seen your name somewhere answering something.
Yes.
How much time do you spend answering questions?
I don't. You know what? I don't even know.
Are you doing it right now?
No, I don't. No, I spent a lot of time Stack Overflow, but then the problem we had with Stack Overflow is that on Stack Overflow, Sitecore is such a small fish in a big sea.
Yeah.
Right. And so I've on a number of occasions I pushed for trying to get our own sort of site set up on the Stack Overflow technology, but Sitecore specific. And when the whole Slack thing came about, that for the first time gave us a forum where we could actually coordinate an effort like that, because it requires 200 people to back up on an initiative like that to get it off the ground, and then it requires even more to actually keep airborne. So there was just no way we could do it without the real-time communication of the Slack sort of community around it. I sort of feel responsible for part of it, so I was one of the co-founders of it and therefore a moderator of the site, which means there's not a single post that goes through that I don't read. So that's why my name pops up like all the time.
Well, with 9.1 coming out, I'm sure there'll be more comments and more
There's
stuff.
always questions, right? Yeah. XConnect certainly gave a good round of questions. We certainly see where the pain points of Sitecore are by just looking at the questions coming through. And I've actually had that feedback from many inside Sitecore as well. They actually monitor it just to see what is everybody asking questions about, because it tells them what aren't we documenting well enough, what isn't really, working out the way we intended. So it gives actually feedback to everybody in the community.
I never even think about that side. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So that was Catching Exceptions, and you just met Mark Cassidy, a member of the 25K Club, as in 25,000 hours on Sitecore. Next time you see me, we're going to be getting to know somebody else. Till then, hang loose.